Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to join the AFC Vacations virtual travel show regarding the national parks today. My name is Will Reese, and I'm the marketing representative for AFC Vacations. Happy to bring these fantastic trips to you today. And we have a lot to go over, both within the United States as well as some of our Canadian national parks, and some great tours that cross over the border as well. Now, one of the things that we do at AFC are land tours. We do a lot of trips by motor coach as well as by train tour. And we offer a lot of diversity in the programs that we do provide. We charter European river cruises and then also do trips internationally. And one of our most popular tour styles is our Unpack Once tour, where you get to settle into one hotel for your entire stay. Now, what's included with an AFC tour? First and foremost is round-trip airfare. We show you the trip with the pricing in our brochure for each of the major gateways. And then if you have friends or family members that want to join you on a trip from other parts of the states, they are more than welcome to. We can always coordinate their travel to and from the program, and a lot of great opportunities for them to join you. We do provide a couple of guarantees, one of which is our guaranteed departures. And so you'll see the symbol GD in the show, as well as in our brochure, which just came out recently. And that means that that trip has enough passengers to operate. It's good to go out the door, and we're ready to operate that tour. As the year goes on, you'll see more and more trips go to guaranteed status. And then our guaranteed pricing. Once you put your deposit down on a trip, your price is locked in. So even as fuel prices change, as other costs come our way from our vendors, that doesn't get passed on to you. And that's what you can expect with the AFC. One of the biggest services we do provide is our home pickup airport service. And so we pick you up at your door, take you to the airport, and bring you back at the end of the trip, making things so much easier, planning what to do with your car, where to park, how much that's going to cost. All of these features are already included within a 40-mile radius. So if you're within 40 miles of the airport, it's included. If you're beyond 40 miles, there's a surcharge, but we can still make sure you get picked up. If you use Uber or Lyft or get a ride with friends or family members, let us know in the booking process, and we can provide a $100 pickup credit off your final payment. So that's a great value as well. And what the company really stands for is real people and real service. And we've been doing a great job providing a lot of awesome trips all around the world since 1982. So wonderful tour company to work with. We are part of the USTOA. That's the United States Tour Operators Association. So we're a select member of about 50 tour operators nationwide that are covered under a $1 million Travelers Assistance Program. And how that affects you, if the company for any reason went through insolvency, your funds, your deposits, travel insurance, final payments are protected under that USTOA partnership. We have a lot of different offers as well working with AFC. First is our risk-free deposits. And what that means is once you put your deposit down on a trip, if you had to cancel up to 6 months prior, it's a full refund, cash refund. If you had to cancel between 6 months and 3 months out at 90 days when final payment is due, there's no loss to you. You can get a future travel credit for any cancellation fees, deposits, or travel insurance if purchased. So a really good benefit. If things come up, we do understand. We can work with you on that. And then Travelers Club is our loyalty program. So if you book a tour with us and a second tour within 18 months, that automatically applies for a $100 credit for that second trip and each trip thereafter. So each credit is valid for 18 months, and we really do try to reward our regular travelers that go with us on a consistent basis. And we were a company that started by word of mouth. So people would tell their friends and family members about us, and now we have travelers from coast to coast within the U.S. So if you do tell your friends or family about AFC and they take a trip with us using your name, your next tour once they've traveled is $100 off that we provide $100 friends and family credit. Our early booking savings is also a really easy way to save money on a trip. If you're within the first 20 clients to book on a tour, you save the most amount of money. But even the 21st through 40th traveler still saves a solid amount. So within the US and some of our international trips, you can save up to $100 off by being one of the first 20 to book. And then as well, our European river cruises double that. So up to $200 off per person on those trips. You just pay your final payment by check and being one of the first to book to get those credits applied. Getting into some of our regular programs, our mystery vacations are some of our most popular trips that we offer. And we have Deb Howard and Chris McCool running several of those this year. And first, we have our Spring Mystery Tour, which is coming up in May 17th. And there is still space available on that one. And then our August 9th with Chris McCool. That one is an international trip. So we do one international mystery tour a year, still about 5 days in length, and they still stay within North America. And they are some fun programs to experience. We also provide a cash booking savings of up to $50 off for the first 40 clients to book on a trip on our mysteries. And they go all over the US. So all different destinations. We have over 60 different mystery tour destinations that we've used in the past, always coming up with new ones. And so there's a lot of diversity there. So how they work is if you let us know you're interested in one of our mystery tours, we'll ask you where you've been before, areas that you're interested in, or areas that you want to avoid, and we'll direct you towards the right dates for you. And then once you're booked, about 3 weeks prior to departure, you'll receive a packet in the mail of your details, and that incorporates some items like how to pack, the average weather in the destination, and then your pickup time. And everything else is left a mystery. So in that packet also has some details about the trip, but if you want to keep that a secret, if you want to enjoy every step of the experience firsthand, then you can do so. But if you do have to know, if you're really curious, you can absolutely look. We just ask you not to share with the other travelers, because it's always a fun guessing game along the way of what's coming up next. And it's also fun to tell the people at the airport counter you don't know where you're going. But these are great itineraries, destinations we've used in the past, like Birmingham, Alabama. We've gone to Tampa Bay and other areas around the country. So a lot of fun on these trips. And the tour directors and tour managers do a great job unveiling the experience as you go. Our Nashville, Smoky Mountains, and Bluegrass trip hits the east. We work our way into Louisville to start this tour. And we do 2 nights to start out in the town of Louisville. A lot of great surroundings, very close in there to Indiana as well. But within Louisville, you have a lot to see and do. Within the city center, you go and check out the Louisville Slugger Museum and Factory. Right across the street from that, you can always go over to the Muhammad Ali Center and learn about his career in boxing. And then we'll work our way from Louisville out to the countryside in Lexington. And that's where we get to see the Kentucky Horse Park. We'll also visit Churchill Downs, the racetrack and museum. And then we continue on to the Evan Williams Bourbon Experience. So you get to experience what Kentucky bourbon is really all about. The minerals in the water, just some of the specialties about bourbon versus general whiskeys. We'll also see the Ark Encounter. You'll get a chance to learn all about Noah's Ark, both from the biblical sense as well. Just some really unique little exhibits throughout that opportunity. We continue on into Tennessee, and we stay 2 nights in Gatlinburg. It's a great hub to get a chance to see the Smoky Mountains National Park with all of its different wildlife throughout there, known for its fog that hovers out over the mountains. And then from Smoky Mountains, we'll also go out to North Carolina, and we'll get a chance to see the Biltmore Estate. We'll do a tour of the estate as well. And then Pigeon Forge, some great items to go explore there. They have a lot of museums, but especially going out to see Dollywood and that fantastic theme park. We finish out our trip in Nashville, and we spend 3 nights there in the city of country music. But there's all different types of music out on Broadway, the main strip through town. So we get a city tour in Nashville, and that features a visit to the Grand Ole Opry, and you get to see that performance live. We also see the Country Music Hall of Fame, and then getting a chance to explore some of the surrounding areas there. We have 2 departure dates on this. One is September 13th, and the other October 4th. Our Brandywine, Philadelphia, and Amish country is another fantastic trip going out in June and September. Both are guaranteed departures, so both are ready to go out the door, but not sold out completely yet, so there is still some space. And what we do on this trip is it's a 5-night stay in Philadelphia. So a 1 hotel stay where you get to unpack and settle in. And then we'll go out to some really beautiful mansions. One is Longwood Gardens, and the other is Nemours Mansion. And these are both owned by the DuPont family, and both have a stunning layout as well as those beautiful garden areas that you'll get a chance to explore. We work our way up through the Brandywine Valley, and we also stop at Valley Forge. And this is where George Washington brought together the Continental Army during their winter encampment. And you'll see his headquarters where he was based, as well as the battlefields there. So as we explore Valley Forge, you'll get a chance to see the encampment as a whole. And then we also go out to Hershey, Pennsylvania. And it's a really great visit to learn about Milton Hershey, his backstory, and so much more. We continue on and head up to the north. We'll go to Amish country on this trip. And within that visit, we'll see an Amish farm. We also work our way up and visit where they make beautiful quilts. And we finish the trip with a wonderful experience, getting a chance to enjoy a family-style dinner together in Amish country. And those serve up some of the specialties, comfort foods, fried chicken, mashed potatoes, some of those great items, and it's a lot of fun. We'll also spend some time in Philadelphia. We'll do a city tour there that features Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell. And we also do some free time at the Reading Terminal Market, which is a lovely marketplace with all different vendors and food options there for lunch. We wrap the trip up with a visit to the National Constitution Center back in the Philadelphia area. So really great experience getting to learn more about our nation's history. And this one again in the spring and fall. Now, this program was built specifically for the 250th anniversary of the U.S., and that is Explore America's Historic East. And we've already got September 20th guaranteed to operate with enough passengers there, and we anticipate October 11th to reach that level as well. And this one starts in Philadelphia. We stay 1 night in the city, and we'll work our way out to Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell on this. We also visit Amish country, and we'll stop in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So we get a chance to learn about the Amish and Mennonite way of life. Out to Gettysburg for a 2-night stay, and that's where we get to see the beautiful visitor center and museum. And they have the incredible panorama, which is a lovely display about the battles. Then we go out to the battlefields, and it's a really incredible chance to learn about the history of the Civil War. From Gettysburg, we come down into Virginia, and we stop at Shenandoah National Park. And this is an incredible stretch of landscape. It's a beautiful valley. And that was a valley that was used by the Southern Army as they marched their way northward to fight the Union soldiers. And they used that area as cover with all the different trees there. We stay a night in Charlottesville, and that's a great hub, wonderful home of some fantastic music. And then a stop in Monticello, and that's where we learn about Thomas Jefferson's estate and his life and times in public service. En route to Williamsburg, we'll also spend some time in Richmond, and that was home of the Confederate Army. That was their main hub as they fought the Union soldiers. We wrap up with a night in Williamsburg, where we get to see colonial Williamsburg in all of its glory, and then 3 nights in Washington, D.C. So we'll get a chance to explore the White House Visitor Center. We take you to Arlington National Cemetery, and then do an illuminations tour of the national monuments. So that's a lot of fun along the way. But this one is 9 days, 13 meals included, and a really great chance to learn about the eastern part of the U.S. and its history. Cape Cod has been a long-time program that's been very successful for us. And what we do on this trip is a 1-night stay in Boston, and we'll do a Boston city tour with Faneuil Hall and getting a chance to see some of the great surrounding areas of the city, like the main public park, Boston Commons. We'll also get a chance to see the USS Constitution, and then we'll make our way out to the coastline, out to the Cape. And en route, we'll stop in Plymouth and seeing the Plymouth Rock, as well as the Pawtucket Plantation. Really incredible experience learning all about the history of the Pilgrims. Then we'll work our way out and see a replica of the Mayflower with the Mayflower 2. And finally, a 5-night stay in either Yarmouth or Hyannis as a base. And we do a couple of different day trips out from there. We go up to the tip of the Cape to Provincetown, or P-Town as it's called. And that's a lovely community. And that harbor, Provincetown Harbor, is where the Mayflower actually first landed, where they originally anchored in the harbor. Then we'll take a ferry both out to Nantucket as well as to Martha's Vineyard on 2 separate days. In our time in Martha's Vineyard, you'll have some free time to explore some of the great little communities there. And then in Nantucket, as we arrive, we'll also get a chance to see the Whaling Museum. And that was an industry that brought a lot of wealth to the east. So really great experience in that stretch. And then we also incorporate a stop into Rhode Island where we see Newport. We'll get a chance to see the Tennis Hall of Fame. We do a little city tour of Newport and then over to the Breakers Mansion and Bellevue Avenue with all the beautiful mansions along that stretch. We wrap up with a lobster farewell dinner, as that's a great item that you get to enjoy some of the great seafood. Even if you're not a seafood fan, there's a lot of other options, but lobster is one of the main components that people know and love there. Our main coastal lighthouses trip is a wonderful program and has a little variation to our Boston City tour. So we start and end in Boston with air in and out. We get a chance to go explore the city, and one of the stops we make on this city tour that's different is a visit to Fenway Park. And that is the oldest baseball stadium in America, dating back to about 1912. So we'll tour the stadium, get a chance to see the famous left field wall, the Green Monster, as well learn about the history of the ball club. We then continue up the coastline through New Hampshire and into Maine, and we settle in for 5 nights in either Kennebunkport or Ogunquit, which are great little harbor towns. And we'll stop along the way as well. We go up to the city of Portland and get to do a city tour there. We also do a couple of cruises. We'll go out on a lobster cruise and get to learn how the fishermen search out the lobster. Some of these can be anywhere from 7 to 10 pounds. So really incredible in that sense. We'll see a number of lighthouses along the way, including Cape Nettic, but more importantly, the Portland Head Lighthouse, which is pictured in the upper left. And this is one of the most famous lighthouses in all of America. Then we'll work our way up to Boothbay Harbor, and we do an optional tour to the Botanical Gardens, which is absolutely amazing. And on this trip as well, we do a lobster clam bake. So you get to experience all the wonderful specialty items in this region. But we have 3 departures, July 18th, September 19th, and October 3rd. Now, our Virginia Rails in Williamsburg has only been operating for a couple of years, but it has sold out every single time. And so you'll see the dates here coming up in this fall, and every single one of them is guaranteed to operate already. So really wonderful trip that we have incorporated here. And a big part of that is the Greenbrier Resort, and that dates back to 1776. But we start this trip with a 1-night stay in Washington, D.C., and that's where we do an illuminations tour of the monuments. From there, we head off to the Potomac Eagle Scenic Train, and that is just outside of the town of Elkins in West Virginia. And as we explore this train ride, it's about 2.5 hours or so. It'll be going through the valleys and past some of the historic farmlands, and also along the Potomac River. It's also a habitat for bald eagles in that region. Then we work our way settling in for 2 nights in Elkins, which is a beautiful little town of a population of around 7,000 people. And the New Taggart Flyer is another train experience. That's where we'll go out through more of the wilderness and get a chance to see some of the beautiful trees, especially later in September and October as the leaves change. Then down to the Greenbrier Resort. And as I mentioned, it's dated to 1776, so one of the oldest resorts in the country. And in the basement is a bunker that was built during the Cold War. And we'll actually get to tour the bunker itself. As we make our way to Williamsburg, we'll stop in Monticello and see Thomas Jefferson's estate. And then we'll get a chance to spend 3 nights in Williamsburg. So we get a great in-depth look of Williamsburg, Jamestown, which is one of the early British settlements, as well as the Yorktown battlefield. And they have a wonderful museum there. We finish out in Washington, D.C. as we fly home. And this one goes from September on through the end of October. Getting out west for some of the great national parks that we also have there. This is our Utah's Mighty National Parks Tour. And we have a couple of guaranteed departures already with June 14th and September 27th. This stays one night in Salt Lake City as we arrive. And then we continue down to Moab. And in Moab, it's a really great hub for seeing some of these great national parks, including Canyonlands, Monument Valley, and Arches. We do a 4-night stay in Moab, and that's where we'll also visit Capitol Reef National Park, which is a really spectacular area to visit. We do Arches for one day. We'll get to see several of the 2,000 rock formations there. And then in Canyonlands, we also work our way over to Dead Horse Point. And this is the famous bend of the Colorado River. Down into Monument Valley, we do a wonderful scenic driving tour with a Navajo native guide. So a really spectacular experience, learning about the landscape as well as the culture that relates to its history. So a wonderful trip going out 8 days and 7 nights, 10 meals included, all throughout the fall season and a couple of departures in the spring. Our Great Trains and Grand Canyons tour is our most popular trip out west, and this one does 5 nights in the city of Sedona. It's a beautiful region with all sorts of red rocks surrounding it, and we get to stay there and settle in as we arrive. Airfare flies into Phoenix, so that's round trip, and then we'll drive up to Sedona, just about 2 hours up, settling in there. We'll also do an area tour the following day, getting a chance to do the trolley tour, which is one of the most popular attractions in that area. That's where we get to see the Chapel of the Holy Cross and some of the famous vortexes that they say have special energy around Sedona. From there, we take the highway out to Williamsburg, and that's where we do the beautiful roadway, the scenic drive, getting up to Williams. From Williams, we'll take the Grand Canyon Railway all the way up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. And as we arrive, we'll pull in just right near the south rim at the Bright Angel Lodge. And you walk back through the lodge, and the Grand Canyon opens up there in front of you. From the Grand Canyon, we'll also continue down and get a couple of different viewpoints of it as we work our way towards Flagstaff. And we'll do a Western dinner out in Flagstaff that night. We'll also work our way out on the Verde Canyon Railroad. And this is one of the most enjoyable experiences as part of this trip because a lot of people don't have much of an expectation there. But it is a very comfortable train ride in first-class train cars, great service on board as well. And we have access to an open-air car. And that's where a naturalist comes on board and tells you all about the different landscape that we'll see as we go. We then work our way out to Montezuma's Castle, and that's pictured in the bottom left. It's a wonderful cliff dwelling of the Sinagua tribe. And we'll go out to Jerome as well, which is an Old West mining town. So a lot of fun to experience this part of Arizona and get a real in-depth look at the parks there. Our Colorado Rails and National Parks is a big loop of Colorado. We start and end in Denver, and we'll fly in and do one night in the city there. From Denver, we'll head out to the resort town of Vail, and it's beautiful both in the wintertime as well as the summer. So we'll have some free time in Vail for lunch. And then over to Grand Junction, and this is another great hub to get out to Arches and Canyonlands, 2 parks that we'll get a chance to visit on this tour. We then go down to Silverton and take the historic railroad, which goes from Silverton to Durango. And there we'll stay for 2 nights, getting a chance to visit Mesa Verde and that incredible national park with its cliff dwellings of the Pueblo. From Durango, we'll continue on to Colorado Springs, and en route, we stop at the Great Sand Dunes National Park. And these sand dunes go on and on for miles, so really impressive viewpoints. We end up in Colorado Springs, and we'll do a couple of different train experiences there. We'll do the Royal Gorge Railroad, which is one of my favorites, going right through the valley itself. And then the Pikes Peak Cogway, and that takes us up to a higher elevation, getting a chance to look out over the valley, and a really amazing viewpoint there. Also in Colorado Springs, we'll visit the U.S. Olympic Center, and then we see the Garden of the Gods, which is an incredible driving tour. And we incorporate a chuck wagon supper and Western show on this program as well. But our June departure has sold out. Our July, August, and September are all guaranteed, and those will sell out as well. So don't wait to book if you're interested in this trip. Going along the western coast, we start on this trip, which is Pacific Coast, Seattle to San Francisco, in the beautiful city of Seattle. When people think of Seattle, they think of rain, but the reality is, once you get past the 4th of July, it is beautiful for a solid 3 months. So we start out July 12th, which is guaranteed, July 26th or August 9th, and 2 nights in Seattle. And there is no better place to be in the country than Seattle during the summertime. Generally, days are 75 to 80, beautiful, sunny, clear skies, and it's a wonderful opportunity to visit that area. On our city tour, we incorporate a visit to the Space Needle, as well as Chihuly's Garden and Glass. And Dale Chihuly has been producing incredible glass works for several decades and specializes in Venetian-style glass blowing. We also work our way down to the north end of Oregon, where we stay 1 night in Portland. We'll do a tour of the area with the Rose Test Gardens, and then out to the coast. And that's where we'll get a chance to go out and experience the sand dunes of the Oregon coast, as well, working our way down to the Rogue River. And that's where we do a jet boat ride along that stretch with some beautiful scenery along the way. We work our way into California and visit the Redwoods National Park, and we'll get a chance to see a number of different separate areas split up by segments of the redwood trees. That's also where we'll get a chance to go through the Avenue of the Giants, which is a wonderful driving tour, and we'll stop at the visitor center there. We do 1 night in Eureka, and that's well known for its tremendous timber industry. It built a lot of beautiful Victorian homes, and some are still on display. And then as we make our way south into San Francisco for our last 2 nights, we'll stop at a California winery and do a wine tasting, as well as city tour in the Bay, getting a chance to see the beautiful city of San Francisco on this trip. So a great program, 8 days, 7 nights as we explore the western coast. We have a number of programs that do Mount Rushmore as well as Yellowstone, and this one works its way into Rapid City to start. We do 3 nights in Rapid City, and that's where we hub right in the downtown area. So great access to some great restaurants there. This is 9 days and 8 nights. And from Rapid City, we'll go out to the Badlands National Park and learn all about the different layers of geology that date back as far as the Jurassic period. We'll also stop at Fort Hayes, and we enjoy a chuck wagon supper. That is a wonderful meal, as well as the filming site of a fantastic movie with Kevin Costner. Then we'll continue on. We'll see Mount Rushmore, and we also work our way down to Crazy Horse Memorial. As we work our way to the west, we'll work our way into Montana, and that's where we see Little Bighorn and Custer's Last Stand. We'll do 1 night in Billings, and then continue into Wyoming, where we'll stop in Cody, and that's the home of the Buffalo Bill Cody Western Museum. And it's a 5-part museum with some fantastic art and historical items throughout. And then we come into Yellowstone National Park from the east entrance and work our way past Yellowstone Lake and stay 2 nights in West Yellowstone. The following day, we'll come back into the park and do a loop tour that features Old Faithful as well as Yellowstone Canyon. And we don't promise that you're going to see wildlife, but if there's ever a tour or ever a national park that you will, that would be Yellowstone with its massive herds of buffalo, all sorts of different species that make that area home. And again, the fountain pots and the geysers, which are just so unique to this area. We continue into Jackson Hole, and en route, we stop at some of the great viewpoints of the Grand Tetons Mountains. And then from Jackson, with our 1 night stay there, we continue into Salt Lake City. And that's where we'll do a city tour, getting a chance to see the Tabernacle, as well as the University of Utah. So this one goes out all throughout the summer. Another tour that features some of the great national parks of the Rapid City area is our Black Hills and Badlands tour. And this is our one hotel stay version of the itinerary. We continue from Rapid City out to the Badlands on this. We do Fort Hays as well, similar to the other trip. And we do Mount Rushmore both in the daytime as well as the night. So we'll come back after our afternoon experience and do the illumination of Mount Rushmore. And that's where we'll sit in an amphitheater facing the monument, and a park ranger comes out and gives us all the details of the mountain and its construction, and then unveils it under the lights, and it's just spectacular. We'll see the Crazy Horse Memorial, and then we'll also work our way down to the mammoth site and learn about the woolly mammoths that used to call that area home. We go on a train ride on the 1880 steam train that takes us to Mount Rushmore, and we also get a chance to experience the Black Hills as part of that. One of the great aspects of this program is going to Custer State Park. And on that program, we take the Buffalo Jeep Safari through the state park. And that's where they have over 1,000 head of buffalo that roam in their own segments. So really amazing to see them up close. We'll go into Wyoming for a day and get to see Devil's Tower. And then on the way back, we also stop in Deadwood and getting a chance to learn more about the Wild West history. So a really fun experience on that. And this is one of my favorite trips to lead as a tour manager, but also just as a traveler. It's a fun itinerary with a one hotel stay. The last U.S. departure I'll talk about is our Hawaii 3 Islands adventure. And this one has 2 departure dates in the late fall. That's November 3rd, which is guaranteed, and November 10th as well. This does a loop around the islands. We'll start by flying into Oahu and get a 3-night stay in Honolulu. And that's where we stay right near Waikiki Beach. So there, we'll get a chance to tour Honolulu. We'll also take you out to Pearl Harbor, and that's where you get to visit the USS Arizona. From that point, we'll do an optional tour of the Circle Island that takes us out to the Dole Pineapple Plantation and the North Shore with the famous waves, the surfing areas. And then we'll fly over to the Big Island of Hawaii. And that's where we arrive into Hilo. We'll drive around to the other side of Kona and spot up for 2 nights there. And we'll do a great meal, great dinner in Kona. We'll see the national park, the beautiful Volcanic National Park, and learn all about the history there. And then we fly into Maui, into Kaanapali. And in our time in Kaanapali, we'll work our way around the island. We'll get a chance to go up to Haleakala and the beautiful crater. And then we also do the Maui Tropical Plantation as part of this trip. But we're based right around the Whalers Village. So great perspective of a lot of fun shopping and experiences there. And then we wrap up the trip with a farewell dinner that is the Hawaiian luau. So you get to learn about the traditions of the Polynesian culture. So a wonderful program, getting a chance to see 3 different islands as part of this trip. And we also do a whale watching tour, usually in the early spring, late winter, when we run it in February. And some of the other programs I wanted to touch on are our Canadian national parks. That is Canadian Rockies and Glacier. So we start this trip in Calgary by flying in. We'll spend the night there. And then we continue down to Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump. And that's a really unique area where the Native Americans would hunt buffalo. And then we arrive in Glacier for a 1-night stay before visiting Whitefish or Kalispell. And in that stretch, we'll also get a chance to go along the Going to the Sun Highway. And that's where we take 1930s jammer cars, which are beautiful restored vehicles, along that highway. We'll continue up to Kootenay National Park with its beautiful lakes and streams and spend 3 nights in Banff. That's where we'll go up along the Icefields Parkway, making our way out to the Athabasca Glacier. And we'll do the Ice Explorer, which takes us out onto the glacier itself. Much better than walking out to the glacier, because I did that last summer and it was a hike. But really amazing sights to be on a glacier, learn about it in person. And then we also visit Lake Louise and getting a chance to tour the Banff area, the mountains, and going up on Mount Sulphur. Our Majestic Canadian Rockies tour is an unpacked once version of that trip. And here we stay 5 nights in Banff with round-trip air into Calgary. From Banff, we're situated on Banff Avenue, so really easy access to all the great restaurants and downtown area there. We'll work our way from Banff out to the Columbia Ice Fields and the Parkway, which we'll do the Ice Explorer on that as well. And then seeing some of the great lakes of Emerald Lake and Yoho Lake, and then Peyto, which is just a really unique color of blue. And then, of course, Lake Louise. And this is where we'll do a lunch out at Chateau Lake Louise, which is a fantastic meal right there with views of the water. Really wonderful itinerary, getting out into Yoho National Park, which are some fun stops along that stretch, and Emerald Lake, the one that's famous with all the photos of the canoes. And there's a great little resort area you can walk around in that stretch. Last but not least is our Canadian Rockies rail journey. And this one runs from Vancouver out to Calgary. We'll do 2 nights in the city of Vancouver, getting a chance to explore the downtown area with its beautiful park, Stanley Park, as well as the totem poles that are there. From Vancouver, we'll work our way out to Vancouver Island by ferry. And that's where we visit Victoria. We'll do a trip out to Butchart Gardens, which is a tremendous landscape garden. And then over to the train ride. We'll work our way from Vancouver across through the North Thompson River and over towards Jasper. So it's a 1-night experience on board the train. We take it up to the Canadian Rockies, and that's where we'll get to settle into Jasper for a night. And here we'll see Malign Lake as well, working our way up the Icefields Parkway. We then head down to Banff for 3 nights, and that's where we'll get to see Yoho National Park and Lake Louise. So a different experience. We do 2 days on the Via Rail train, and that has a Sleeper Plus car and a really great opportunity to travel through Canada by train. So this one still has departure dates available of July 15th, August 5th, and August 15th. And for those of you joining the show, if you do book a new 2026 tour or European river cruise by Friday, April 10th, we are reducing the deposit down to $99. So you must purchase travel insurance with that deposit at the same time for those to apply. But generally, our deposits are $400 to $600, depending on domestic or international. So it really does bring the cost down on that, putting down a lot less money up front to hold your space. And putting a deposit down is the only way you can hold space on a tour. Our 1 cabin category upgrade is available for our remaining 2026 river cruises with space. And you can call our reservations team for details on that. But you would book a lower category and get the lower price and be upgraded to the category above it for better spacing, better locations on the ship, and just better overall experience. Category E and D are fixed picture windows on our river cruises. Categories C through A are usually drop-down windows or sliding doors. And then our suites. The suites are the only ones that are not available for that category upgrade. So I usually recommend people booking category D and being upgraded to C, which goes from the lower deck to the middle deck, or from B to A, and that goes from the middle deck to the upper deck. But great savings of $200 to $400 per person. Use the savings code National Parks for these to apply by next Friday. Then how you can book is reaching Joe, Holly, April, or Samantha at afctours.com. And you can also call us on our phone line, which is 1-800-369-3693. Our website is also available. You can check us out on afcvacations.com. And if you haven't been added to our brochure mailings, we send out a brochure every 2 months. April can help you with that. April at afctours.com. And from all of us at AFC, thank you so much for joining us today. Let us know if you do have feedback about new show ideas, different destinations you're interested in. If we don't have them in our catalogs, we're always out looking for new trip ideas. So reach out to April and she can help in that sense. But thank you all so much for joining us, and we look forward to the next time you get to travel with us. Have a great day.